Is it a running back or receiver?
Receiver.
Okay, I'll switch to a running back.
No. Wait. Who? You do yours first.
Does he rhyme with Psych Pevins?
No. No, you go. All right, I'll go then. I was going to say...
BRB Blazer.
Okay.
I don't know. Should I get a beanie? I felt left out.
Yeah, dude, it's beanie season, bro.
I don't know. It's 110 degrees out, so I had to strongly
All right,
disagree.
we're recording,
Hot
so
boy
let's
summer.
go.
Literally. Sure.
Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Average Bros Fantasy Football Podcast, where it's 110 degrees outside, but my boys are wearing beanies.
That's because it's hot boy summer.
Beanie season.
It's
I got my
hot
deep V.
boy summer here in Las Vegas. Like I said, Average Bros Fantasy Football Podcast. We're just a couple of average bros with above average fantasy football knowledge. Episode 7. We're back. We're just going to this episode, we're going to go round by round, and we're going to tell you which guys we like, which guys we don't like.
I'm with it. Really quick before we start, because I say this at the end of the podcast, but I just want to just touch on it in the beginning, is can you rate us and review us on Apple Podcasts? Yes, do it. Please do it right now. Stop what you're doing. If you're listening to audio, especially if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, literally just scroll down while you're listening. You can keep going right now. Me and you, let's do this. Slide all the way down, press 5 stars, leave a little note. You don't even have to put your real name or anything. You can put poop head fuck fart.
Oh, that was you?
No. Is it someone poop head fuck fart left us a review? Yeah. Wow, interesting. Anyways, so if you could do that, that'd be awesome. Yeah. Continue with our regular script.
If you're a girl and you rate us 5 stars, DM me and I'll write you back.
I don't know about that last part, but
Are you alright, dude? You're dying over or what?
I haven't heard the audio on that. Just sounded someone probably like, Jesus.
Okay, but listen, do that. Back to our regularly scheduled programming.
All right, so like I said before, Mike, the mad scientist, a.k.a. Mr. Miyagi, a.k.a. Chlamydia is running rampant, just went on his little tyrant. We're going to kind of go, round by round, just certain players, we like, certain players we dislike. Maybe like their value, we like this player, but maybe their current ADP in that round is not something that we would agree on. So let's just kind of jump right into it. So we get this first round. I feel like a majority of these picks you can't miss on. So we're not necessarily going to say players we like. Maybe this first round we'll just say players that we're not going to draft in the first round. We don't actually think their ADP in the first round is justified.
It's like we're really just seeing what their value, like if they're not worth their value.
Yeah, I mean, once you get these first top 10, 12 players, I mean, majority of them I would like to think are going to be, good players for you. But there's a couple players where, I know all of us probably would agree that we think they're good players, but we wouldn't spend a first round draft pick on those players.
Actually, real quick, it's like on topic, but it's like, so, we're saying you kind of know who to draft is. I kind of like getting the 8th pick in drafts because I don't want to have like the 5th, 6th, 7th and feel the need to reach for one of those running backs. I kind of love getting that 8th, 9th spot and just seeing people take running backs, or you'll get someone who takes a quarterback. And, if I can get like Devontae Adams at like the 8, 9 spot, like when we did our mock draft, honestly, that's like a home run to me right there.
Yeah.
So it's like, it just kind of don't be afraid to like, because I know a lot of you drafting this week, don't be afraid to take the number 1 receiver if 6, 7 running backs go. Because right after you take the number 1 receiver, I can guarantee what's going to happen is receivers are going to run off the board.
Right.
And you're going to be able to probably get the next running back anyways. So that's like just a quick kind of like little tip.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think once you get past like those first 4, maybe 5 running backs, it's predominantly, for me at least, my rankings go 5 to the next 6 players are, receivers, including Travis Kelce. And then maybe even then those running backs get kind of sketchy. So, yeah, like you just touch on, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, I cannot disagree. Hello. All right, who wants to start us off in this first round? Who? I guess we could talk about who we.
Anyone we're trying to stay. We don't have a first round grade on. We're trying to take away, like not draft from the first round. I'm gonna probably be a little bit different because I know you guys are probably touching this player. I'm gonna go with. I know we're going off half point PPR scoring system, but I'm gonna go with Nick Chubb in a full point PPR. I like Nick Chubb. I think he's a good running back tied to a good offense. The offensive line is a little bit kind of worrisome. He was a big home run hitter last year too, like we kind of touched with Saquon. I just think it's being overblown a little bit, the Duke Johnson trade, because they're using that. Is it Hilliard?
I think it's Hilliard sounds.
Yeah,
They have a guy.
They basically said that the guy they drafted or brought in is going to basically take Duke Johnson's role. So when it comes to a full point PPR, if you're taking your back in the first round, I'm going to take receivers before I take Nick Chubb. You want him to have 50 catch upside, 60 catch upside, and I just don't see that with Nick Chubb in a PPR format. So he's someone I would love to take in the second round, but he's someone I'm staying away from in that first round.
I think also you got Kareem Hunt coming back.
Yeah, and
after week 9, when it comes to playoffs, you don't want to get stuck in that position. That's your number one guy.
Yeah, because I liked him when he was in the back of the second round, because I'm like, he could get you to like 8-0 possibly.
It's crazy how much
someone and he's legit your second. He's a monster. But in the first now, like you said, with Kareem Hunt coming back, it's what is his value when Kareem Hunt comes back?
It is
might
crazy
not change,
these guys
but it
that
could
are
be worse.
coming back around.
Yeah, so for me, honestly, that was going to be the guy I touched on. And it's just crazy, because I was talking to a couple of my buddies at work about it, and right now they got him in half-point PPR scoring system. They got him as the 10th overall player, so he's kind of going, in that back end of the first round right there. Kind of mimicking what you said. Like, I'd be more comfortable with him in the second round. And I was telling my buddies there's only one football, but there's a lot of mouths to feed there. I mean, they went out, they traded for Odell. I mean, you still got Jarvis Landry, who's, still a good receiver. Njoku, you have Higgins there. Callaway comes back after the fifth game, I think, fourth game, whatever, after the suspension. There's just a lot of mouths to feed there, and there's only one football. So I'm just worried that maybe some of these games he doesn't get the ball as much as you would like. I mean, I do know they were giving him a ton of carries last year. But then also, once you get past to week 10, Kareem Hunt comes back, and then what? I don't necessarily think they fade Chubb out of the offense 100%, but, Kareem Hunt if he was still in the Chiefs, we could argue here that he's a top 5 running back off the board, realistically. So, obviously, he's going to get some type of run. I just think in that spot, unless you're drafting Chubb to maybe potentially trade him, the trade equity could be, crazy high after, 4 or 5 weeks, and maybe you move him in a package deal or something. But besides that, I'd probably feel more comfortable taking one of these later round receivers like a Julio Jones, Michael Thomas, in a sense like that.
So that's who you dislike?
That's who I dislike. Yeah, that's who I was going to touch on.
All right. Well, I'm going to go, and obviously you guys talked about Nick Chubb. I think we've talked about Le'Veon Bell. We can touch on him for a second really quick. Obviously, we don't like Le'Veon Bell as a group, I think, in this first round just because the new team he's on the Jets. Adam Gase isn't like a really high offensive coach. There's just like a lot of factors. They also have Ty Montgomery there. He doesn't like to play one running back. So Le'Veon Bell, what's crazy to me is how much people have gone up in the past week. Le'Veon Bell was going 2-0, 205 before. Now he's like the 8th overall pick in a half-point PPR, which is pretty fucking crazy. But I'm going to say David Johnson. Obviously, I think he's still decent in the first round, but like you were touching on earlier or I think it was in the past previous podcast, Anthony, just what's going on with their O-line in this preseason, which might change in this third week 3 preseason game, but it's a little bit scary. And I don't know if David Johnson's going to be able to do the same thing as he did before with this O-line and how it is now.
Yeah.
With this Kyler Murray offense, and it's just a lot of changes.
Yeah, it's sorry, I'm not trying not to piggyback too much,
good.
But with Le'Veon Bell, like I said, he's a second round guy to me. The touchdown upside, it wasn't even there, and he was never a high touchdown guy in Pittsburgh. And I know that I looked at his stat. Adam Gase in his last 2 years, the running backs had a combined 5 touchdowns inside the red zone for 2 years. He's just never been a red zone running back type of guy. And then with David Johnson, I'm probably going to take the receivers before I take David Johnson. I think he's still worthy of a late first round pick.
Yeah.
Because the upside is there, and he's a workhorse PPR. You're safe with that, but I'm going to probably gear towards the receivers before I take David Johnson, because just real quick, that line it's starting to scare me. Right. And he hasn't looked as explosive. I don't know if it's been because I watched the last game, and it's only a few carries and a few touches, but he doesn't look the same he looked a few years ago. It's kind of I want to see what happens in this third game.
Yeah, for David Johnson, I think he's got to get a ton of catches to like really boost his value because that line is kind of sketchy. So we'll just kind of see. He could be another guy where maybe I'm fading, and like you just said, I prefer to take like instead of taking a David Johnson, I'd rather take like a DeAndre Hopkins or Devontae. Yeah, I'm taking Devontae Adams over David Johnson right there for sure.
Right.
Just to touch on the Le'Veon Bell situation too. So just a stat I saw. In the last 4 years, Adam Gase as a coach, his team's offensive plays per games have ranked 31st, 29th, 31st, and 27th. So
yeah, like bottom 5 every time.
that's not good.
It's like the opposite of the Steelers.
Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, and then another one right here saying that Le'Veon Bell, when he was on the Steelers, he would average 10 snaps more per game than the next closest running back. So they were just using him in like a hyper efficient use, and I doubt he gets that amount of volume. And then also, let's not forget, they did go out and sign Ty Montgomery in the offseason before they signed Le'Veon Bell. And, here's a guy who you could arguably say is a better pass catcher, better route runner than Le'Veon Bell because he actually did play receiver in college at Stanford. So just, another guy right there I don't like in the first round. So
All right, let's get on to the second
jump
round.
into this second round right here.
Who wants to kick this one off?
So you're talking about someone you like in this round then? Well, because I feel like now we're kind of getting to...
Yeah, I'll let you go first in case we have the same person.
Okay, well, I got a couple players I love in the second round right here.
You only get one.
Oh, man, this is...
That you love or you love to hate?
Some players I love. Okay, so obviously I do like Kelsey, but if you listen to the last episode, you can hear all those stats I got on him. But a player that I love in the second round right here, like let's say if you go receiver in the first round, and
are we gonna go over players that we love in the first round?
I think
pretty much.
It's pretty.
The guys we didn't say we like, basically.
Yeah, right. Okay, sorry.
So for me, a guy in the second round that I love, the Vikings running back Dalvin Cook. I mean, he's last year my man crush was Manny Sanders. This year my man crush is Dalvin Cook, and I'm all in. And I know every time I bring it up, you always say how last year I just wasn't about him, but it just shows you how things change in fantasy from year to year. But some things that I love about Dalvin Cook this year is that he's finally healthy. Last year he was coming off the torn ACL. You had Latavius Murray there. No more Latavius Murray. I know they went out and drafted a running back, but I'm not worried about that. In Cook's a 3-down back. He can run, he can catch, pass protect, all that stuff. Just some more stats I'd like on him. In games where he's seen 13 or more touches, he's averaged 19 PPR points per game. Last year down the stretch, weeks 12 through 16, he averaged 19.5 points per game in a PPR stamp, format or whatever. They went from a pass-heavy team to more of a run-heavy team. It's just so many things. I love Dalvin Cook, and he's a guy where honestly, I'd rather take a Dalvin Cook over a Le'Veon Bell or a Chubb in the first round. If you're gonna go for a running back, I have Dalvin Cook ranked ahead of those guys.
I do as well. Go ahead, Mike. Who's your like?
Who do I like? I'm gonna. Who is yours?
Is it a running back or receiver?
Receiver.
Okay, I'll switch to a running back.
No. Wait. Who? You do yours first.
Does he rhyme with Psych Pevins?
No. No, you go. All right, I'll go then. I was going to say, I kind of changed on this because I was kind of going back and forth, but I do love Juju Smith-Schuster in the second round.
Yeah,
not a homer pick.
Not a homer pick. Just Pittsburgh always has a number one receiver. Seems to be just pretty fantasy relevant. Even just after the last year, it's just going to be interesting to see with AB gone how much production Juju can have. And I think that you could argue Juju could be in the first round. So the fact that I'm getting him in the second round, I'm with that. If I could get Juju Smith-Schuster with even with one of these other top Michael Thomas or Devontae Adams somehow, that'd be tight.
That'd be nasty.
That'd be a 1-2 punch.
I've top 5 receivers.
Yeah, and I don't mind going receiver.
I've done mock drafts, and I'm I'm able to get Devontae and Juju, or one of even Julio and Juju, and I mean that could be a nasty 1-2. I mean Juju there are a couple small red flags I look at with him is he struggled badly against press. He was one of the worst receivers in the NFL against press. But I think the Steelers keep him in that slot role and don't move him outside. And he's also
Yeah.
young. He can still get better. He's like 21 or 22. Like,
Yeah,
it's
he's
not
not-
to say he can't get better at
He's
it.
not even 23 yet. I
Yeah,
don't think.
and then like you said, you could have. There's a pretty good chance he scores more touchdowns than Michael Thomas, who's ahead of him, than Julio Jones, and I mean Odell has a high touchdown ceiling, but wouldn't surprise me if he outscored those guys touchdown wise, and maybe the catches and yardage aren't as high, but he makes up for it because he scores more touchdowns.
For sure.
Yeah, I love Juju this year.
On that beat. All right, so I'll go with my guy. I got Mike Evans. I mean, just pretty consistent year in and year out. I think a lot of people out there kind of like look at stats and look at numbers, know what Bruce Arians can do for a quarterback and an offense. Mike Evans has been the number one receiver. It's just been a little bit of up and down with him in the touchdown department, but I think that those 2 years were just fluky, and you can't say that because he had 3 touchdowns another year it's going to happen. He's going to see 150 targets, and it wouldn't surprise me if he pushes for the league lead in targets.
Yeah.
He's been Jameis Winston's favorite target. You lost Deshaun Jackson, you lost Adam Humphries. Everyone's saying, oh, O.J. Howard and Chris Godwin are going to get all these targets. They might see most of these targets, but it could bump his percentage up to, maybe instead of a 26% team target share, he's at 28 and he gets 160, 170, and I think he has wide receiver 1 upside.
Yeah, I love Mike Evans. So just a good, interesting stat I saw on Mike Evans. In terms of the most catches of 20 or more yards last year, he had Tyreek Hill ranked number 1 with 27 catches of 20-plus yards. And then number 2, Mike Evans, 26. So, I mean, that's a guy who's going in the I feel like he's going in the back of the second round,
He's the back,
potentially. And here's a guy who, like you just said, the most 20-plus yard catches, he was second behind Tyreek Hill by only 1. You give Bruce Arians and he's a vertical passing type of coach. And, we've seen Jameis. There's another good status on Jameis, actually, where, like, he's thrown for 300 or more passing yards in 50% of his starts. I mean, that's just another reason to like a guy like Mike Evans right here. I think he's a guy where you can't miss.
Yeah, you can probably get him at the turn. I'll just make this quick because you can. I mean, there's going to be some idiots who take. I hate to say idiots, but there's going to be some people who don't listen to this podcast and take Tom Brady in the first round, or like Aaron Rodgers in the first, or Mahomes, or someone takes another tight end because someone takes Kelsey. Oh, I want Kittle, Ertz. There's a pretty decent chance that you can get Mike Evans in the beginning of the third round of the turn,
which would be pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, I think Mike Evans is the guy.
Dude, imagine that. You imagine Zeke signs, you get Zeke, come around, you grab like another receiver, one of these top guys, and then you grab Mike Evans too in the third round. That'd be nasty. Or you get, how about this? You get Zeke, and then you get Dalvin Cook, and then fucking Mike Evans right there.
Dude, my PP gets hard when you say that.
if that happened, I'd be stoked.
I would fucking be
It could happen, dude.
It can happen. Anything can happen, bro.
Ooh.
Yeah, the Angels could win the pennant.
All right, and I got a player you dislike quick, any guys?
I'm not really high on Joe Mixon. I mean, I think he's still like a top 25, top 30 player overall, but he's probably going to be a guy where if he falls to me in the third round, maybe I'll take a shot on him. But in the top of the second round, I'm just not sold on it. I mean, you have Gio Bernard there, who's still a good running back overall. I mean, no AJ Green to kind of like, for the defense to game plan around. They drafted a offensive tackle in the first round of the draft. He's out for the whole year, actually. I'm just not sold on this offense altogether. I know it's a different offense with Zach Taylor now as the coach. No more Marvin Jones after 11 years of bullshit. But he's one of those players where if he falls to me, okay, I'll take him. But in the second round, like there's players like Kelsey, Juju, Dalvin Cook, Mike Evans, Kerryon Johnson, players like that, I'd rather take over him.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. Players I don't like, do you have one?
Go ahead.
Mine would be Damian Williams.
Dude.
Is that you? Is that what you picked too? I just think because Andy Reid was saying how it's gonna be like split carries. He's not gonna be like the next Kareem Hunt there. I just don't think in the second round, like kind of the same thing you're saying about Joe Mixon. So I'd rather have so many of these other guys in that round.
Yeah, there's a lot of question marks when it comes to, like you said, Joe Mixon, is he going to get the workload that he got a year ago? It's not guaranteed.
Well, even with Joe Mixon too, the game script, like, are they going to be fucking running the ball?
And I know he wasn't. I think he's a really good talent. I think we might be a year or two away from him having like a monster season, and maybe like a top 1 finish. top one finish. But I for me, it's just this isn't the year for him. I think with the offensive line falling apart, AJ Green not being out there to help him out, Andy Dalton being a struggle with that, and a whole new coordinator we don't know. Yeah, to piggyback on what you said real quick, because that was my pick as well, Damian Williams. I mean, there's a chance this is a timeshare. There's a chance he gets overtaken. I want to have guys who I know aren't going to lose their job. I'd rather fall back a few spots and take someone like Kerryon Johnson. I know he's not losing his job. Leonard Fournette, Devontae Freeman will touch on some of these guys. I'd rather take those guys over Damian Williams because this is still a high pick for you, and he's not guaranteed to start the whole year.
Yeah.
And I'm taking some of these other guys over him.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about him. I think there's just, for there to be too much talk about Carlos Hyde, Darwin Thompson, it like I said, certain players, you're not hearing about these other running backs behind them. It's like, okay, Kerryon Johnson's our guy, Leonard Fournette's our guy, like you just said. So, yeah, I'd agree with the whole Damian Williams thing, too. If he slides to me in maybe the late third round, then that's maybe when I'm starting to take a chance on him. So, let's jump into the third round right here. This is actually when they got Mahomes going right here. I think we all agree that we're all waiting on a quarterback.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to draft Pat Mahomes.
I don't blame him if you take him there, though.
Yeah, we were saying how we last year that we were kind of guessing that maybe Pat Mahomes could even go in the first round, ADP wise.
He's going to go higher than the third.
Yeah, and if you're in a home league and you're doing a home draft, for sure he's going to end up going higher than this third round.
This is where I'm okay. Like if you just like to, like I said, it's fantasy football. If you like to take a quarterback, that's what you like.
A lot of people take Aaron Rodgers in the second round.
Yeah, there's people take quarterbacks in the first
round, bro.
6 picks, bro.
Yeah,
he's not going to fall into the third, but that's where I'm okay taking him.
If you're in a 6-point passing league, I know one of the leagues I'm wearing, we do a 6-point passing league, and then you get 5 points every 100 yards instead of 4 points every 100. So it's a predominant a quarterback league. So the quarterbacks, if you have a good quarterback like Mahomes last year, he was putting up 30, 40 points a game. When you look at like that, you could justify him going in the first round. If you're in a standard league, then that's kind of where I feel like he starts to fall into this second, third round tier.
Sure. Okay, so who do you guys like in this?
I got a few guys. So I know Tyler was going to touch on. I know who he's going to touch on. I like that as well. I'm going to touch on this guy because I don't think either of you will take him. I'm going to go with Leonard Fournette.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that was either of your pick, but
no.
I think I know Tyler's pick.
Yeah, I know. I like him too. We've talked about him. So the thing with Leonard Fournette is, last year we were looking at him as a top 5 running back. We're only a year removed from that. He lost 4 offensive linemen last year. The whole line legitimately went down.
Yeah.
He had Blake Bortles as the quarterback. He himself was in a bad place. Mentally he spoke about it in the offseason. He's like, I got away from those troublesome people. I sometimes you're good at this, and you do this more than probably more people I know that talk fantasy. Is as a person, he got away from the bad influence here where he was around. He took care of his body. He's eating healthy. He went to a certain training camp, worked with the running back coach. He's doing all the right things to. He lost 5-6 million guaranteed, whatever it is.
Yeah, for the.
That'll check your ass.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that'll humble
he's
you for
one mistake
sure.
away from
It's an expensive punch.
Yeah, he's one mistake away from losing a bright future for himself, and it seemed like he had an awakening in a sense. I don't know him personally, but he's doing all the right things. We've seen him carry the ball 300 times, and he's underrated as a pass catcher. People are like, "Oh, he can't catch." I'm like, "No, he actually can catch, and he's actually pretty decent at it."
Right.
You look at his yards per catch. You look at what he was paced through 16 games over the last few years. He would have been on pace for I think 40-something catches last year. And not only are they talking about getting him more involved this year in the passing game, there's no one behind him to even really push for a catching passing role. I personally, this might sound bold, but I think Leonard Fournette pushes over 55 catches this year.
Yeah.
And if he does that and gets the workload on the ground, I think he's going to be a steal in the third round. And DeFilippo is a passing coordinator, and the same thing I've talked about. Reports are saying that he's working on his pass catching. He wants to pass catch. This could be Leonard Fournette could finish as a top 3 back.
What about you, Mike? Yeah, I like Fournette too. I think, like you said, everything you just said, I agree 100%.
Yeah,
What do you think, Mike?
I think I agree as well.
It's just the health. That's why he goes low. It's legit. So.
I want to. This is going to be who are you thinking? Are you talking about a rookie or are you talking about somebody else?
I'm not talking about a rookie.
Okay, then I'm going to talk about David Montgomery. He's the last pick of the third round right here. I love David Montgomery. just from watching him preseason, looks like a stud. Just doing research on him. I mean, I don't really have a lot of stats right now. Maybe you guys can pull some up if you have them. But David Montgomery is a guy I love in the third round.
Yeah, so
The tail end of the third round.
A good stat that I do know kind of off the top of my head is, so I'm always referring to Pro Football Focus. It's a good website, you guys. Just like follow that. There's always good articles. They always have some crazy.
It is a good article.
Crazy good stats and stuff. But so Pro Football Focus, they like I think it was like maybe 5 or 6, 7 years. They've been tracking college football players on their ability to make or force missed tackles. So how many forced missed tackles can you get? It's only happened twice where a player has caused 100 or more forced missed tackles, and those players are David Montgomery and David Montgomery. So he's the only player to do it over 100 twice. So I mean, and I think last year we would touch on it all the time. Like we're not necessarily saying Jordan Howard's not a good running back, but maybe that offense it just doesn't suit him.
Sure.
Here's a guy who can run, he can catch. He's obviously he can make people miss when he's in the open field. He can pass protect. I mean, he's a guy. I think next year we're talking about this guy's going in the first round.
Okay, so here that's another thing is like I feel like the past couple of years there's always a rookie running back that just like shows that shows up and fucking kills it. Like you got Alvin Kamara, fucking Zeke when he came in, like Saquon last year.
Yeah.
Just all these guys are studs, So I just feel like, to me, it feels like David Montgomery is probably going to be that guy. But I know you might different.
On average, there's two running backs that are rookies a year that finish in the top 12. I'd say out of all the rookies, David Montgomery has the highest percentage of finishing in the top 12 out of all the rookies we're looking at.
And that right there is why I like that.
I like him. He's someone I would love to get in that back third round because I think he has massive upside, maybe even top 5 upside.
Yeah.
I don't know if number 1's in the cards, but I think he has top 5 upside. I'm torn between is how much of a role is Tariq Cohen going to keep? How much of a role is Mike Davis going to have involved in there? I could see the. One thing I hate, but it's like, oh, Jordan Howard had 270 touches, so there's 270 touches sitting there. It's like, no, there's not 270 touches sitting there. It could be 300, but it also could be 220. Yeah. There's two sides of the spectrum to that. So, maybe they throw the ball a lot more this year. Maybe the defense they lost their coordinator takes a step back. So I love the upside with him. He's someone I want to get some shares of. I can't make that final decision on where I view him yet, but it's like if Mike Davis wasn't there, I'd probably be on him in a top 12 pick.
Yeah, it's weird because I feel like in some leagues he's going to go in like the 3rd round, but then in some leagues people aren't going to know who David Montgomery is, and he's going to fall to the 5th, 6th round, potentially. Right. And if he's there, that you're going to get a fucking steal.
And and like hot dude, if you bring your like list, your draft list to like a home league, fucking highlight his name because
I'll take him in the 4th every time.
And like if you're crossing off all these players, like he might be a guy that you just assumed got picked up, but he could slide and you have no idea because that's happened to me before where I'm like, oh my god, that guy was still available, so fucking pay attention. Yeah, he's definitely a guy that I could see that happening.
Yeah, I'll take him in the 4th every time probably. But the beginning of the 3rd, there's probably a couple other guys. But I think what's safer but similar upside, I'll take.
For sure, yeah. So for me, the guy who I love in the 3rd round here, Devonta Freeman, the Falcons running back. I just feel like people are just sleeping on this guy. And, maybe it's because the last couple of years he's been injury, prone and he's missed a lot of games. But let's not remember, in 2015, this was the RB1 in fantasy football. And the next year, he was being drafted, a top 5 running back. And the very next year after finishing RB1, he finished RB6. So he's still a top 6 running back, 11 touchdowns in both of those years. Just one thing I can say here, too, that makes me love him is, there's no Tevin Coleman. And that was kind of like, they were, even though Devonta Freeman was like the 1A, Tevin Coleman was still kind of the 1B.
Dude, he would steal touchdowns.
Yeah, he was still getting a ton of run. Tevin Coleman, he's now reunited with Kyle Shanahan. He's in San Francisco. So that kind of just leaves Devonta Freeman. And, you have Ito Smith. I think you have, I think his name's Brian Hill, the other running back, right? I don't even know. We don't even know. That's it. We don't even know his name. Because it's like Devonta Freeman is the clear workhorse guy here. 3 down back, run, catch, pass protect, all that stuff. I think the Falcons' offense is going to be super good. I mean, they went out. They already had, I think I saw it today. They had the number one ranked center in Pro Football Focus. Jake Matthews was the 7th best tackle. They went out and drafted 2 linemen in the first round of this draft. So they kind of like boosted their line. I mean, you got Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Sanu, Hooper. These guys can stretch the field. You got a former MVP in Matt Ryan. So you can't stack the box. I mean, I just think the upside for a guy like Freeman is like top 10. I think in the offense.
He has top 5 upside.
I mean, he saw 338 touches that year where he finished as the RB1, and Tevin Coleman saw 100 that year. And so I think we're it's deja vu. I think he's going to come back, and he's my comeback player of the year. I love him.
Yeah, he's more of your comeback player than Dalvin Cook.
I think Dalvin Cook was more of an injury thing.
Yeah,
it wasn't
that's
like he
true.
was like set to. Like,
I mean, he's still coming back from an injury.
Yeah,
but Devontae Freeman was out for pretty much the whole year.
Yeah.
So I think Devontae Freeman in the 3rd round. I think he's a steal. But like, there's some rounds where, like I said, you're gonna see him fall to like
honestly.
the 4th or
Yeah.
5th round, and I think he's a stud. He's a guy where if you draft a first running back in that first round, maybe in the 2nd round, let's just say you go running back in the 1st and 2nd round, and Devontae Freeman is your 3rd running back. Oh my God, dude, you could have 3 top 10, top 15 running backs,
Right.
Easy.
Definitely. I like it.
yeah. I'm big on Devontae Freeman too. Real big.
I was big on him last year, and then that fucking injury drove me nuts.
There's no one I really dislike in this round, to be honest. I'm just kind of looking at it. Let's see.
It goes up
The
to
only
36.
the guy I'm probably not gonna have any shares of is probably Aaron Jones. I think
Yeah.
he's a hyper efficient back. He reminds me of like the Alvin Kamara, Kerryon Johnson mold. I think he's one of those guys, and he's tied to potentially elite offense. Could Aaron Jones be? We said a 1st round pick discussion next year. Yes, the coaching staff worries me. They've said over and over they want to do a timeshare, and I don't want a timeshare back at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
He's a player. I'm okay if I'm wrong on him, but I'm probably not going to get him because he's going to probably go in the 3rd round more often than not.
Yeah, Aaron Jones is probably one of the trickiest players for me to to gauge on where he can go, his ceiling and his floor, because we just don't know. It's a new coaching staff. You still have Jamal Williams there. I feel like people forget about him.
That's the timeshare back he was. Yeah.
It's just tricky.
That's pretty interesting. What about you, Tyler? Anybody you dislike?
Maybe T.Y. Hilton, just because we kind of touched on in this last episode that Andrew Luck, the calf strain, and I just feel like there's his touchdown upside has never been. I don't think he's ever posted more than 8 touchdowns in a season. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
and then
you're right. I think
there's just a lot of mouths to feed there. Like I said, I touched on in this last episode. You got Paris Campbell, they just drafted, who pretty much is like a T.Y. Hilton in a sense. Devin Funches, Jack Doyle's back. Ebron's there, red zone guy, and then you still got Naheem Hines and Marlon Mack who can catch the ball to the backfield too. So like it's kind of the Chubb situation. There's only one football, and how many players are going to get? I'd rather get a player like a Kittle almost, just kind of off the top of my head, or like I said, Devontae Freeman, Leonard Fournette. These guys are going to be mainly like the center point of that offense, each for this season.
you got anyone, Mike, or not really?
I would just say I'm not really. That's a little too high for me for Josh Jacobs. I don't know about you guys. I don't know how you guys feel about Josh Jacobs.
He's the back of that round, so I mean, I'll keep this short and sweet. If you believe he's going to be 3-down workhorse and get all the touches, he's a volume play there. I personally think Rashard still has a role. I'm not huge on the offense, so I'd probably take the guys like Marlon Mack and Montgomery. I would definitely take Chris Carson above him. Not even a question.
Right.
Guy next round.
That's what I think about. It's just Josh Jacobs. I'm down to take a rookie running back, and I'm all about it, but just not him that early. I'm down with David Montgomery that early, just because he looks like he's going to be a stud
And tied to a high scoring offense.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So that's my opinion on.
Yeah, I guess I'll just jump into my guy then, since I basically just hinted him in the 4th round. Chris Carson, I'm loving Chris Carson. I'm literally if I was I would take him in the early 3rd.
Yeah.
He's in the 4th round. I would take him in the early 3rd. I mean, they said what they were going to do last year, and they did it. They were like, we're going to run this ball a shit ton, and they actually did it. They're saying that they want to use him like a receiver this year, get him up around 50, 60 targets. Mike Davis left 100 touches on the field. I think they'd run the ball a tiny bit less, but they're still going to be in the top 5 in rushing offense. You saw him in this preseason game. He outsnapped Rashad Penny by a pretty good margin. He was getting the targets. I think he was like the running back 7 from weeks, I forget the weeks, like 7 to whatever it was. This is a guy who's going to be a workhorse, and if he's getting targets, I mean, he's going to be a monster this year potentially.
Yeah, here's a guy like if your strategy is you want to go like receiver in the first couple rounds, maybe you come back and you grab like a Devontae Freeman, David Montgomery in a sense, and then you grab a Chris Carson. I think that's a solid strategy going forward.
Sure.
I mean, the 11th most touches last year, he had 267 touches, and he missed 2 games. And like you said,
and he didn't even play a lot for the first like 2 games as well.
I mean, the guy, when we see him out there, this was the run heaviest team in the NFL. Like I said, I agree with you 100%. Chris Carson's one of these guys. I think he's going to be a value where you're going to look back and be like, damn, I got Chris Carson in like the 4th, 5th round. Like you're going to be like that. You're going to be psyched.
Right, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do this really fast. Like I'll take him over Josh Jacobs, Marlon Mack, David Montgomery, Aaron Jones, Melvin Gordon, Damian Williams. He's basically the early 3rd for me.
Right.
All right, who's your guy, Mike? Who's your guy?
Who's my guy?
Or do you need a second?
Yeah, you want to go real quick?
So this is kind of an interesting round. I'm not necessarily say the guy I like and I don't like, but this is a round right here, round 4, where you're seeing all 3 of the Rams receivers go off the board here.
Right.
I think we all agreed. I don't necessarily know if we all agree, but my rankings would be Robert Woods, Brandon Cooks, and then Cooper Kupp. I mean, last year I was big on Cooper Kupp, and I mean, I think we kind of hit that nail on the head. He was the wide receiver 2 before he got hurt. He was just fucking crushing it.
I had him in a few leagues.
Yeah.
What round was he going in though
like
last
6th,
year?
and real drafts like 6th or 7th.
Yeah, but I mean, here's a guy like you said. We touched on him last year, and he was the wide receiver 2, the 2nd best overall receiver before he tore his Achilles. For me this year, like I said, it's Robert Woods, Brandon Cooks, and then Cooper Kupp. So maybe a guy who I'm just not comfortable in this round is Cooper Kupp. Even though I do like Cooper Kupp a lot, I'm just kind of worried coming off the ACL injury. I mean, like I said, there's only one football. You got 3 receivers here. I just think it's crazy to have all 3 of these guys ranked in like within a 10.
Right, they're all right next to each other.
Yeah,
they're literally like
wild.
a couple
So it's like,
picks from each other.
I mean, I get it. You got like in the 2nd round, you got like a Thielen and a Diggs, 2nd, 3rd round. But those guys I really feel like are a 1A, 1B. They're like neck and neck, back and forth. But to have 3 guys all in the same round from the same team, there's only one football. And if I'm going to pick one of these guys, it's Robert Woods. I think I did a stat. I can't remember what it was. I think it was 60 yards per game. But Robert Woods, in 14 of the 16 games he's played, last year, he had 60 or more receiving yards, and that was the best in the NFL. And he tied with Julio Jones on that. So, I just something that I wanted to touch on for that round.
That's who you don't like.
Cooper Kupp. I just think there's too many receivers.
Yeah.
And if I'm gonna pick one, it'd be Robert Woods out of those 3.
Yeah, I mean, like I think I'm kind of there with Anthony with the whole Chris Carson thing. I do like Sony Michel in that round. I feel like that's somewhat of a steal. But people, I don't like Kenny Galladay. I know he's like towards the end of the round.
Yeah, I'm on you with both those.
Yeah, but I'm with Sony Michel. I know it's like it's so hard with the Patriots offense to understand who the fuck's going to be the running back for the year because it changes year to year. But Sony Michel just really proved himself last year. I just think that you're getting kind of a steal in the late end of the 4th round. Kenny Galladay, I think it's just a downtick year for Lions receiver. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's not even like I know I wrote an article on like Marvin Jones being a value, and I've actually heard other people talk about like it's not even a guarantee that Kenny Galladay ends up being the target leader. Like there's a chance Marvin Jones is. They were neck and neck last year,
right? And
there's a chance it's still Marvin Jones. Like,
and then you're gonna get him way later.
Yeah, and they want to be one of the run heavier teams in the NFL, and like I said, I know they could pass more due to game scripts, but Marvin's there, and he could still be the one. There's other receivers I like better there.
Yeah, no, I agree. The new offensive coordinator, he's more of like a run a run style offense instead of a pass happy guy. I was reading something today actually. They were saying how they obviously signed Jesse James, the Lions. They went out and signed Jesse James in the offseason, but then they drafted T.J. Hawkinson. They were saying that they'll probably be like one of the
two tight end set
heaviest teams in the league because they want to run the ball instead of throwing it. It's kind of like a similar situation a couple years back. I know I touched on this in one of the past episodes, but like a Thielen Diggs thing. Like Galladay's going higher, kind of like how Diggs was, but then Thielen was going in like the 10th, 11th round, and that's kind of a Marvin Jones situation again. So if I'm going to take one of these guys here, I agree with that. I think I'm going to take the later round on a Marvin Jones because maybe I do get the one in Detroit, but now I got him 6 rounds later.
For sure.
Just kind of what player that's interesting right here. I just kind of want to get all your guys' opinion on it actually real quick. Zach Ertz. So he's kind of going in like the 3rd round, maybe the 4th round. I mean, what's your thought process here? Because I think he broke the record for most targets and most receptions for a tight end last year. I mean, I would just assume there's going to be some type of regression. I don't think he can match that or sustain it again his second year. I mean, what's your thought process on when would you feel comfortable drafting Zach Ertz?
If you want to, I'll probably try and wait for OJ Howard personally. Yeah. If I don't get Mike Evans, I'll probably try and sit back and pick on OJ Howard. Yeah. But I don't think the targets, I think they come down. But the efficiency has always been there with him and Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
That's one thing to kind of kind of hang your hat on with it. We've seen his target numbers lower, but we've seen him still be a top 4, top 5 tight end. He's relatively safe. I think if you want to go the tight end, I'm okay with it in the 4th round. I like Carson Wentz a lot this year. His numbers actually jumped up, his passing percentage, his yards per game. They were all spiked up last year. Mm-hmm. They brought in Deshaun Jackson, and I don't think his target share is going to go down too much as far as where do the targets go, because the tight end position is probably going to see relatively. It might take a small bump from Deshaun Jackson, but you can say that. But Nelson Aguilar was part of that target share last year, and maybe Deshaun Jackson sees a lot of those. So there's a chance his target share doesn't change all that much. There is Dallas Goedert to worry about a little bit. I like it in the 4th round. I'm not against it. That's where I feel okay taking him. I wouldn't take him in the 3rd.
I think it's pretty appropriate ADP right there. I mean, because I'm just looking right now. It's you get in the next round, you got Evan Ingram. It's I'm kind of high on Evan Ingram, but it's dude, if I can go 1 round earlier and grab Zach Ertz,
the guy that's had 1,000-yard seasons already multiple times,
has been proven, has a safer floor. It's maybe it is worth it. You know what I mean? So it's I think I kind of agree with Anthony. The ADP just seems pretty accurate. I don't know about you, Tyler.
I think he goes in real draft. Sorry, I think he goes earlier though.
Yeah, I think so too.
So for me, he's probably going to be a player. I don't want to say not a do not draft list for me, but he's going to be a player that I don't think I end up with in any of my leagues, just because. I mean, like you said, they got Deshaun Jackson. I totally forgot about Nelson Aguilar. I mean, they went out and drafted a rookie, JJ something from Stanford. Alshon Jeffrey, who missed the first 4 or 5 games or whatever it was last year, he's going to be healthy starting the season finally. They do have Dallas Goedert. I mean, you got some running backs who can catch the ball. I just don't think he can sustain the value of the investment you're going to be getting on him. And instead of getting him in the 3rd or 4th round, like you just said, there's an OJ Howard or an Evan Ingram in the round later that I'd feel more comfortable on, instead of passing up on a Chris Carson, Mark Cooper, David Johnson, some of these kind of guys right here who I could grab. And then, now next round I grab Evan Ingram or OJ Howard. So
yeah, it's going to be team dependent. I don't think I'll get him because I think he'll go in the 3rd. If he actually goes in the 4th, there are some guys I would, if I already have through a running back, 2 running backs and a receiver, and I don't, there's Chris Godwin, Cooper Kupp, Galladay, those guys, or even Edelman. I'd actually probably take him over Edelman in a standard for sure.
Yeah.
It's team dependent. It might happen, it might not. It probably won't mostly because he'll go earlier.
Yeah.
The only player I don't want to say I dislike, but it's format dependent for me would be Mark Ingram. What's the format I'm thinking of? In a PPR format, I kind of don't like the draft price right there. The Ravens have year after year have changed running backs mid-season. They did draft, rookie and Justice Hill is showing some pass catching ability, and I kind of feel like he's going to have a role in that pass catching game. And Lamar Jackson doesn't really throw to the running backs, so it's more of I think he's gonna. And you've seen year after year Alex Collins. he'll have like 22 carries, 100 yards. Or Gus Edwards will have like 18 carries, 100 yards. That's why I still like him in standard. But when it comes to PPR, the games he doesn't score a touchdown, I think you're going to have some, maybe 16, 17 for 70 yards. So he's more of a PPR guy for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. Justice Hill, a name to keep an eye on. He's for sure a guy I'll be targeting in every one of my drafts in the later rounds.
If I don't get him.
Yeah.
I know, right? It's so hard when we talk about all these guys we're targeting, and then we all play in leagues. We all play in leagues together, so it's kind of fucked.
It makes it so much better though, competitive. The competitiveness.
Yeah. We could jump into the next.
Jump into the 5th round right here. This is kind of there's a couple guys here I like. I think you guys all know who I'm going to touch on in this round.
Here, really quick, how many rounds do you guys want to go through?
I was gonna say we want to cut it after this one.
Yeah, that's cool. We're about 48 minutes.
Yeah, let's just do this one.
Well, I figured we could do 5. So we're gonna finish off in this 5th round.
Yeah.
So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there,
All
Tyler.
right, so 5th round right here. This is my guy right here, big breakout year, Mike Williams.
Of course.
He's kind of going in the back of the 5th round. You might even be able to snag him in the 6th round in some leagues. But I mean, dude, this guy, I'm all in on this guy, and he could bite me in the ass, but I doubt it. And just to kind of touch on some things. I mean, I did a player profile on him, but like I said, don't forget a couple years back, 7th overall pick. He got 6'4", 220. All the measurables are the same as Michael Thomas. He had 10 touchdown receptions last year. I mean, I get it's only on 66 targets, but Tyrell Williams is gone. And Tyrell Williams actually played in more snaps in 14 of the 16 games they were there together. So now, Mike Williams jumps into that solidified wide receiver 2 role behind Keenan Allen. Another reason why I like him, though, is, Keenan Allen can't stay healthy. He's already got the ankle injury or whatever it is. And, I mean, how many years is it that he's been injury prone? So if Keenan Allen was to go out for some reason, he's the de facto wide receiver 1 in an offense like that. And I just think the ceiling is through the roof. And I've been hearing a lot of things about, Hunter Henry's back. And, Hunter Henry's going to take a ton of targets because he wasn't there last year. He's going to get the red zone targets. But 7 of the 10 touchdowns Mike Williams had last year were in the red zone. And 6 of those touchdowns came within the 10-yard line. I mean, because like I said, you got a guy who's 6'4". It's literally you just throw the jump ball. I mean, he's bigger than the DBs, and he can out-jump all the DBs. He is like the ideal red zone target.
Dude, take him on a date, would you?
Yeah.
Oh, my God, I love him.
What
are you going to eat his butt?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Mike Williams. I'm every league.
It's something I've like started looking into where it's like, and we had this discussion about Zach Ertz for a second ago, is it's target share. Like, it's not necessarily like, and this team is one of the most predictable teams as far as what they're going to do year after year. Is like you could say Hunter Henry, but like I'm just going to throw out random numbers. Like 65% of the target share is going to go to the wide receiver position, which to say that those numbers, just because they add a guy in a certain position or on the outside, it doesn't necessarily always affect where that target share is going, correlation to running backs, receivers, tight ends. That's why I still like Zach Ertz. What I'm saying is like having Deshaun Jackson doesn't take away from that tight end target share. It's more of he's on the outside, and when these balls are going to the receivers or the routes are meant for the receivers, that's where it affects it. So to touch on what you said about Mike Williams is I don't know if Hunter Henry necessarily affects like what he's going to do on the field, because I think the target share for that tight end position is going to go up, but I think without Melvin Gordon, that running back target share is going to go down a little bit. And that's why I like Mike Williams. Like you said, the one game he went out, Keenan Allen last year, that's where Mike Williams had like
dude, just YouTube and watch his highlights, and you'll just see how big he is compared to the DBs, and you just be like, what this?
It makes sense.
You got a Hall of Fame quarterback throwing the ball. It's good offense. Like,
right.
Man.
Yeah. It wouldn't. I know it's not like the most likely scenario, but it wouldn't surprise me if he outscores Keenan Allen.
Yeah, no, that's actually I wanted to do a bold prediction episode. That's going to be one of my bold predictions, that he outscores Keenan Allen this year.
What do you got, Mike?
All right, we're 49 through 60, correct?
Yeah.
Guys, are we doing guys we love right now?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do. I'm gonna say I kind of like. You go first.
Is it a receiver or tight end?
I was thinking about a running back, but
Ooh, okay, so we're different.
Spicy.
Oh, all right. I feel like I feel like a lot of people like OJ Howard, and the reasons are right. So I'm gonna choose someone different right here. I'm gonna sound like a fucking CX fan. I'm gonna go with Tyler Lockett in this round. I know it's there's all this talk of like, and I'll even make this a little bit of a Russell Wilson thing as well too. There's talk of like, oh well, his touchdown percentage was so high and blah blah blah, and then it's not going to repeat. Yes, I understand that, and touchdown percentages can be higher and lower, but at the same time, Russell Wilson is one of the most efficient and one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And if this team is going to run the ball from 20 to 20, and Russell Wilson's going to throw it inside the 20, his touchdown rate probably stays about the same. They lost. And that's just a quick Russell Wilson thing where it's like, and if they get in some more negative game scripts, I know they lost their Pro Bowl D tackle for the first 4 or 6 games. They've lost some pieces. I think this defense actually takes a step back low key. But to Tyler Lockett, he's going to be in more of the Doug Baldwin role in the slot a lot more. They did lose Metcalf a little bit, but when he comes back, he's going to be on the outside with just who's the other guy?
David Moore.
David Moore on the outside. So he's going to have more efficient targets in the slot. It's easier to have a higher catch percentage in the slot because you're able to go two-way routes. And I think you're going to see the targets bump up a little bit. He's been one of the most efficient receivers over his whole career with Russell Wilson. Like, it's not like he's like all of a sudden been efficient. He's been efficient year after year after year after year. And, you know, I mean, we've seen Doug Baldwin in the slot, Russell Wilson have 10-plus touchdowns. We've seen, you know, him get 120 targets and, you know, have a solid year. So I think Lockett's maybe he doesn't score 10 touchdowns on, you know, what is it, like 50-something catches or something like stupid like that. But I think he can score 10 touchdowns again on a higher target with more catches. Yeah. And I think he's a little bit people are kind of writing him as a bust. I think he's pretty safe. He's Russell Wilson's one.
Yeah. I mean, a crazy stat though. I think the connection between Russell Wilson and Tyler Lockett, they had a perfect passer rating,
so
which
perfect.
I mean, obviously it's going to be a regression, but just I mean, that's a good sign that they're on the same page, you know, and just to have that kind of rapport with your quarterback and receiver, the chemistry. Yeah, for sure. You love seeing that.
And going into the slot can't hurt because it's easier to like catch the ball out of the slot.
For sure. What about you, Mike?
I mean, this is kind of like a weird round for me. It's like even just looking at this right now, it's like, dude, fuck. It's like who am I gonna take here? Just because like I'm looking at guys like Tevin Coleman, it's like, yeah, that sounds good, but then with the 49ers running game, fuck, dude, I don't know. It's like Phillip Lindsay. I think Royce Freeman will end up doing better this year, and it's like, do I really want to get stuck with Phillip Lindsay in the 5th round if he ends up not putting up the same numbers as last year? So yeah, man, this is kind of like a harder round for myself. I mean, obviously, I'm right there with you. I love Mike Williams. What's the exact status on AJ Green's injury?
It's like, I don't know. It's anywhere from like a few weeks to. He's someone I
see. It's like
consider
because
there.
then I see Tyler Boyd right there, and it's like, okay, I'm looking at the game scripts of the Bengals right now, right? And I'm thinking maybe they're probably going to be down in a lot of games, so they're probably going to be fucking throwing the ball like crazy. So it's like, do you take Tyler Boyd there? To be honest, I'm at somewhat of a loss at this when it comes to this round, because Tyler kind of took the spot where I wanted to be at.
I mean,
Mike Williams.
you don't have to pick someone.
This is a
You know what I'm
tricky
saying?
round though. No,
But that's all I'm getting at. Is like Mike Williams is, you know, who I would target here.
I mean,
also.
yeah, just I mean, we could agree
Because
with the
all
same player.
it's
I mean,
like
just,
all these guys seem like they have kind of like high risk.
so like you said, AJ Green's here in the 5th round, and if obviously he's healthy, he's going in probably the 2nd round, realistically. So when would you guys feel comfortable, you know, taking a shot on AJ Green right here? Because I mean, if he fell to the 5th round, it's almost like, dude, I mean, the upside. I mean, you're looking at 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns when if he come back.
If I'm balanced, if it's going to be dependent. Like if I'm balanced, I'm 2-2 at this point. I have 2 running backs, 2 receivers. I like the way everything fell. I'll take AJ Green there in the 5th because I don't necessarily need.
The upside is top 10.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
See,
like,
but you're right there, and then you don't have a tight end. So you have 2
and that's part of
it.
it. It's like if I know that if I'm making this decision, I'm gonna target a little bit later round tight ends. But it's like I know that okay, I don't need a wide receiver 2 because I have 2 receivers already. I don't need I have my 2 running backs. He's a flex, and I can find that flex in that next round or 2 or 3. And if I can find that flex that has a couple big weeks, maybe go with a boom flex for a few weeks. And if I get him back, if my flex is AJ Green, even if it's 2-3 weeks, I'm perfectly fine with that because I still have my top 2 at each position, and I could target the tight end. You know, maybe I go with like Hunter Henry in the 6th or 7th, or you know, just like Vance McDonald, or you know, I know that at this point I'm going to be a later tight end guy. I'm not going to probably get Evan Ingram or OJ Howard. I'm okay with that because I'm going to make up for it when AJ Green comes back. So, but if I'm Then on receiver, let's just say I went 3 running backs and like a receiver, I might go with someone else there because I don't want to, risk that he's out maybe 3 weeks and have a shaky wide receiver 2 for 3 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, this is a tricky round right here. There's a lot of,
there's just like a lot of risk, a lot of reward.
Yeah, so you got
guys.
like Philip Lindsay. Obviously a good story. Philip Lindsay, undrafted from Colorado, Pro Bowler. I just don't like that value right there, especially when they signed Theo Riddick. I know he got hurt, but I mean, he's going to come back eventually at some point, and I don't want Theo Riddick coming back in week 9, 10, and then that's, the fantasy playoffs, and he's kind of eating into Philip Lindsay. You got Royce Freeman there. Tevin Coleman is a guy who I do like. I think actually at 5th round, I do like the value there for him. He knows the Shanahan offense. McKinnon's on the IR, so he's out for the first 8-9 weeks. Breed is there, but, he's made of glass. I mean, that guy could get hurt, instantly. Then maybe Tevin Coleman has a full workload for once. You got A.J. Green, who, the risk-reward factor there, you know what I'm saying? And then also, Mike Williams. And then this is kind of like the tight end round almost for me because you got O.J. Howard and Evan Ingram here. So, maybe if you're looking for me personally, if I don't grab Kelsey in that first round, maybe that second round, and I'm waiting on a tight end, I'm skipping on Kittle and Ertz to get some more positional players. And then maybe now I'm grabbing an O.J. Howard, Evan Ingram in this 5th, 6th round.
Right. That's where I'm at with that too as well. I'll give you a player I kind of dislike right here. I'm gonna go with Miles Sanders. It's just I think he's gonna be a little bit of a project running back. He's not gonna come out and have an established role week 1. You're still gonna have Jordan Howard there. They're gonna have Darren Sproles. They just re-signed, who's gonna have his roles and touches. And it's just a coaching scheme. They've never given a running back I think over I know 77% snaps for sure. And these guys are going to have their roles for a while, and he's going to have to work his way into maybe a workhorse role, but that's if Doug Peterson ever even commits. And if he doesn't, he's more of a flex play. And in the 5th round, there's some guys I think with more upside there that I'd rather take. And something I saw looked into is he had I think it was 50. I don't even know how many fumbles, but he had a fumble every 27 carries. Yeah,
that's not
which
good.
That is not good at all.
That's one a game, one every 2
games.
Yeah,
one every
right.
2 games. And if he has that problem in the pros, he's gonna get benched pretty quick, and be out of it.
And then that's your guy in the 5th round.
Yeah, I'd be okay taking him maybe in the 7th turn, but for the 5th, it's a little too pricey for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, Miles Sanders, he'd be a guy. He's gonna have to fall to the late 7th, 8th round because, I said,
maybe even 8th.
There's only one football, and there's they have a lot of good players there who can, score, take it to the house. Yeah. So, and like you said, if he's not on the field, that's
And if he's having fumbling issues still,
yeah, that's just
that's historically bad.
Yeah,
and the NFL guys are a lot better at stripping balls than the college guys.
A lot better.
A lot better.
They
it's
they just
all
sit
they
there
do.
and practice that. Yeah. Did you see that? Did you watch Hard Knocks at all?
No.
Did you see that? Oh, but there was a one of their linebackers went to punch the ball and he missed. Just fucking noodled his hand. And then just casted it up. He had that club, that classic.
What did he
club.
hit? His helmet?
Oh yeah, he hit him right in the helmet. He went to punch the ball and fucking missed.
Just really, why did you just punch me in the
helmet,
face?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. But he was dope though. He had he had a really good attitude about it. He was like, oh, no, I can play. It was preseason week 1.
I can play. Okay.
They casted it up. He was right back out
sticking
there.
out. Bro, your bones sticking out.
Bro, his hand was like fucking noodle, dude.
I'm good.
So
AB don't got feet. I got no hands. We're good.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I broke it. But he was just calm. Fuck, I broke it. Actually, I've broken my hand. It doesn't hurt as much as you would think. It just stings. I'm pretty tough. Anyways, anything else you guys want to talk about on that last round, 5th round?
No, I mean it's just kind of your roster construction is obviously gonna dictate what players
your
you
picks,
go for,
yeah,
stuff like that. So.
Yeah, and that's kind of I guess I'll piggyback on that real fast. Is your roster construction is gonna kind of dictate a little bit of how you go and where you go and. We preach mocking, we preach doing these things, and purposely, if you're still mock drafting, take extra receivers just so you know what your landscape's going to look like coming into running backs in that round, or go running back heavy, or to see what receivers you're going to like there and who you're not going to like, and then maybe even just take Zach Ertz in the 3rd, so you just have a tight end. Let's just say just throw curveballs in there, so you kind of know what your teams look like in this round.
Because if you do that with the tight end, like, and you start to realize it in the later rounds, it's totally different.
Yeah. And you might be like, oh, I like Zach Ertz in the 3rd, 4th round because if I'm picking at this spot, I like the receivers I can get there. And then you might be like, oh, if I take Zach Ertz, I don't like the way my receivers or running backs shape out.
Right.
And like you'll kind of start to learn that.
Yeah, because I've mock drafted before, and I've done it. I've done this. It's a bad habit. Is where I would just do kind of the same mock draft and target the same players every time.
Yeah.
And it's like I didn't prepare for.
And then you get to a real draft, and the players you always took are gone. Both of them are gone. You're like,
yeah, you panic, and then you take Larry Fitzgerald in the 2nd round.
That was a good pick that year.
And I did it 2 years in a row. I'm pretty sure. But anyways, anything else you want to touch on?
No, I mean just mock, like you said, just mock, like you.
The best thing,
It's super important, dude. Just like mock, because like you'll have a good idea of like what players should be there, and maybe if like okay, like you'd want a certain player to fall, but he's not there in the mock drafts. Who knows? Maybe he does fall to you, and you know what I'm saying. But you always have like a backup plan that way you're not panic picking.
Don't follow trends in the draft. If tight ends or quarterbacks start going, just leave it. Don't fucking panic and start taking.
How do you tight end? Because 4 tight ends are gone.
Yeah.
If 5 tight ends went ahead where they should have, that means you're going to get a receiver or running back you shouldn't have got, basically.
So with all that, we appreciate you guys for listening. I always say it at the end of the podcast, and I'm fucking sincere, dude. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. That's 3 people. One of them is you listening. Before we end, like I said at the beginning of the episode, if you could leave us a review, that's the fucking bee's knees, dude. And listen.
You won't leave us a review.
Yeah, you won't. You won't, idiot. But I want to read one. Do you guys, would that make you uncomfortable or what?
Yeah, read it.
Dude, wow, dude, calm down.
He's like, you want us to read it? And we're like, yeah. And he's like, whoa.
Okay, Simple Jack, $12.99.
Simple Jack.
Hilarious, organic, and informative. I love listening to these guys because it's like you're hanging out with the boys and talking fantasy football. They don't act like they're all know-it-alls. You know what? That's true. We're average bros with above-average fantasy football knowledge. I mean, we'll let you know that.
I mean, I might know it all, but I don't act like it.
But listen, they don't act like they know they are know-it-alls, and they go in-depth, very in-depth with their statistics. If you want to be entertained and laugh while getting better at fantasy football, this is the podcast for you. Well, Simple Jack, $12.99.
That's a pretty smart dude for Simple Jack.
Yeah, dude, you never go full retard.
You never go
Whoa, dude, dude, you can't say the R word anymore, guys.
Is it illegal?
Yeah, you're not allowed.
What, return yards?
Yeah. Return yards. Dude, yeah, that guy was so return yards. Okay. Dude. Thank you, return yards, $12.99. We appreciate
Simple Jack,
you. Simple
mad
Jack.
Love. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Hey, Simple
So
Jack.
do that. See how easy that was? That was like fucking 4 sentences. You've made 4 sentences before.
Is that called a paragraph?
Did you drop out in fucking 2nd grade, idiot? Then don't write us a review.
Is that considered a paragraph?
Look, this other guy just left us a sentence. These guys are really just the bee's knees.
Hey, one review is better than no review.
I mean, I guess. But you know what? So, yeah, do that for us. We appreciate it. It helps us push up in the podcast world, and we appreciate it. Also, check us out on YouTube. See our faces. Just type in Average Bros Fantasy Football. We'll pop right up. Go on Twitter, Average Bros FFP. Our Instagram is our most active right now. So if you go check that out on Average Bros _fantasy football, we'll be there. We'll answer your questions. If you have anything, give us a freaking DM, dude.
Yeet.
Anything else you guys want to put on there? Nope. Okay, great.
Oh, all right.
All right.
I was gonna say we'll keep continuing this round by round breakdown on the next episode.
Oh hell yeah! Thanks, boys. Appreciate you.
Yep. Deuces.